Hello, everyone. Welcome to Showing Up and Keeping It Real, our live with Abby Keen Healing. Today, we're going to be talking about how to know. Hi, Abby.
Hello.
So, today's going to be a little bit of an abbreviated live. We only have a few minutes, but we wanted to hop on and name this topic we're both passionate about. How do you know when you need support and what do you do about it? Support in the sense of lost, confused, overwhelmed. How do you know when support would be beneficial? And I know my answer to that, but maybe Abby, welcome. How do you know, or what are some of the defining points or aspects or qualities that show up when you sort of know for yourself or maybe for others when support is needed? Like, how do we make that decision?
So I'm a bit of a convert because for years and years and years, you know, prided myself. Is that the word? Pride myself for being like, I can do it on my own. I don't need any help. I'm strong. I think it was really like part of my personality that I liked about myself. And I'm a convert now. I want help. Please help me. But I think when you see that you're stuck in a loop, I've spoken to many women who said, I want to try to do this on my own. But the question is, do you? Do you? Like this thing that you just expressed to me that you really want, this change in your life that you really long for, that you just like told me in detail, even what it would look like if you managed to, do you do it? Or do you procrastinate? Do you hit the same edge of your comfort zone, that same place over and over again, and then kind of give up on yourself? So have you done anything about it? And if you haven't, then maybe you need some external help to really push you through that threshold of your own self. And I know for me, once I said yes to support, everything changed. Even just that moment of saying yes, even before I even received the support, something in my chemistry inside already changed, like as though that work started working on me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for me, what I think about and what I've been thinking about mostly is this moment when the resistance or the challenge that we're going through is so strong that reaching out for support is actually the most difficult. That we don't know what we need, we don't know who to reach out to, and then we feel maybe a sense of shame or helplessness around not being able to identify what our needs are, what would help move the situation forward. And I've been thinking about that a lot because, like you, I my whole life prided myself on being able to figure it out on my own, and I would wait until the critical last moment of trying to figure it out on my own, being alone in the struggle, very private, very, very private person, and realizing that I made it harder and harder and harder to create a clear request for support. Luckily, I was always surrounded by beautiful, wonderful, friends or colleagues, other healers, where it was a little bit easier to see that support made sense. But one of the defining factors, and I remember a teacher really mirroring this to me when I was in a deep challenge, a struggle, and she was teaching a class, and I was having trouble articulating what I was struggling with. Like I didn't even really have the language anymore. And the synopsis is, when you are unable to be gentle with yourself anymore,
Mm-hmm.
this is your indicator to reach out for support, which is usually the hardest place to reach out for support from, when we are negatively judging ourselves or criticizing ourselves. So, what do we do in that scenario when reaching out for support feels like the riskiest thing? And you're a convert, so I want to hear what you have to say about this. For my short answer would be simply practicing, right? Practicing reaching out to people that feel safe enough, right? Whether it's a trusted friend or a teacher, mentor, or healer, professional of some kind, but practicing the act of making a request, even when you don't know what it is, I think is really the exercise behind this place. And sometimes we need to go it alone. Like that is valid too. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes going it alone is the process until it's not anymore, right? As you said, until there's no action, there's no forward movement, you're just in a standstill. So I wonder, for you, how did you become a convert, in terms of like, how did it go from asking for support is excruciating to asking for support is nourishing, encouraging, transformational?
Well, I think my initial asking for support, like actually signing up with a program that will help me, was a big breakthrough for me, to spend time, money, and like to say yes to myself in that way was a real breakthrough as a person who doesn't want to ask for help, like even around the house, like even from my husband or my kids sometimes, or, God forbid, reach out to a friend and say, I need help. Because for me, and I assume for a lot of people, asking for help feels very, very vulnerable. I'm afraid of being needy. And I'm afraid that you won't meet me in my needs. And that's really scary. So asking for help can be a vulnerable act that is really hard to do sometimes. And I love that you gave the example of even asking friends and people around us for support, because when we started this conversation, I immediately thought of like professional support to help me get to where I want to get to. And I also want to say that I think when we do talking about professional support, if there's something that you really want to make happen and you can't seem to do it on your own, and you want professional, like a coaching program or a healer, or, somebody to hold your hand and help you through, I'm finding that a lot of people are having a hard time saying yes to it, because as long as I say no, I can procrastinate and I can keep hiding and I can keep being in my comfort zone. But if I say yes to the support, I'm setting myself up to actually face that thing that I'm really scared of in myself to face. And now, God, I'm going to actually have to go through with it. So, like, dreaming about, let's say I want to become a writer and I feel like there's a book in me. I can, like, dream about writing this book and fantasize that one day I'll do it. And I'm like, in the meantime, I'm just in that safe zone. The one day I'll do it. Yay. But I'm doing nothing about it. Now, if I'm going to hire your help to help me like birth this book, I'm actually going to have to sit down. I'm going to have to put it on paper. I might find that it's not coming out so easily. I might have to share myself in new ways that are really scary and expose myself. And now it's a whole other kettle of fish. So I think a lot of times the fear of this commitment, once I get the support, can be really scary.
Yeah. Well, because then you face, right, all the things that go wrong, or, right, like all the things that you don't like about the creative process, which there are many pitfalls that happen along the way. It's not a clear-cut path when we are pursuing something of our deepest heart and soul, right? Whether it's our creative work, our professional work, our business. When we're acting from that deep, authentic longing, we're going to have to come into contact with the challenges, our insecurities, our doubts, the unknown. And, I wanted to just mention that, part of asking for support, is we take this into consideration in the way we've structured how we work with others. And I just wanted to bring that in because one of the reasons for me, and I would love to hear your answer about this, for me, one of the reasons that I keep a call free, right, in my business structure is exactly for this reason. Is the reason why is because I want to keep the space open for someone who may not know what they need. It may not be with me, but it is a space to identify what kind of support would be beneficial, right? To keep a space open for the ones who may be lingering in the unknown and say, I'm here, I'm willing to listen long enough to maybe help you with some clarity about the situation you're in. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to be the solution. Perhaps I'm just the person next in line to listen. And I know you offer this as well. So I just want to point that out, that part of the way we care about this topic is that we actually have structures built in to our business model that make these free consultations available. So it's not just about finding out about your work, but it's about creating a safe, sacred space that holds kind of a mutual respect for what are you seeking in your path? Where are you in your journey? If it's not me, do I know someone who I can refer you to? Right. So having an open conversation around what is needed and really making that support. I get that question a lot, right? Like, how can I make my work accessible to people who need it? Well, this is definitely one way, is to create that opening where a conversation can happen around what kind of support, what would be the right kind of support for where you're at on your personal healing and transformational journey. And for everyone, that's unique, right? For everyone, that is very unique. So I'm curious, like, how, if you have anything to add to that. And I know we're coming up on, I know we only had a few minutes today. We're kind of squeezing this in here. But
which is good for us because you and I can just keep going and going and going. So I like that we have a timeline. I would just add to it, and I love what you said, and thank you. I would just add to it that, and I've heard that from quite a few women, that even saying yes to having this initial conversation, regardless of where it goes, and regardless if you sign up for this, or that, and who cares, when you say yes to whatever, something starts to shift inside. So even just like having a phone consultation with somebody, this is already you taking a stand for your own self and saying, you know what, I'm bringing this from under the surface and I'm bringing it above the surface, and I'm going to allow myself to bounce off another person. Maybe, as you said, they're not going to be the person I'm going to land with, but I'm going to bring it out. And so I've heard from other women, like, just that felt like a relief. Just that felt like the energy has moved from stuckness and stagnation to something else. And so little steps,
Yeah.
just saying yes at the little steps and allowing a dialogue about what you're feeling and what you'd like, and just like bringing it from inside to out, I feel
Yes.
has a lot of value.
Yes. Yes. And sometimes the step before reaching out to a professional is reaching out to a trusted friend or family member. And that can feel like the biggest step to take, right? Is saying, I don't know what to do. What do you think? You know? Um, and yeah, I guess that's all I'll say about that. I'm sure we could talk more about this, but is there an area of your life, those of you that are listening, that you feel you are needing support in? Do you see what is needed, or are you still struggling with what is needed? And how might you approach this question around support? Where is it challenging for you? And where is it a growth edge? How do you feel this area of challenge growing you, nudging you, encouraging you, pushing you a little bit to the edge? And maybe even add in the comments below, how do you navigate that? And if there's any way we can support you, please do reach out to either Abby or I, and we can maybe help you along the way if there's some questions that arise from this video. Thanks for joining us, for showing up and keeping it real conversations about what it means to step forward and bring yourself forward into your creative and professional work. We'll be here next Monday. Hope you can join us, and look forward to connecting with you soon. Thanks, Abby, so much.
Thank you, my dear.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Much love. Bye.